Hi, this is Mr. Lemansky, and welcome back to school. It's the second day of school, and we're going to start taking notes on section 1-2, and that's on page 8. And I guess before we get into this section, let's go through how we're going to take notes when we watch these videos. We will start the year off, the first marking period. We will watch these videos together in class. But ultimately, it would be my goal for you to be able to watch the videos outside of class and come into class prepared to work on the material and ask questions over things that you didn't understand over the material versus us watching the videos together. But for the start of the year, we're going to watch the videos together because what I've learned is people have a hard time taking good notes and getting out of the video what I need them to unless they're kind of taught how to do that. So as you see here, I got a sheet of paper that would look similar to your notebook paper. I would first of all suggest you have a notebook with you each day, and we want to keep our notes in chronological order. Chronological means day-to-day order. So in the middle of February, if I said to one of you, I want to see your notebook, I should see day 1's notes followed by day 2's, followed by day 3's, followed by day 4's. It ought to be in day-to-day order, okay? So to start off at the top of our paper, you know, as we're taking notes, we can put down that this is section 1.2. Today is September 3rd, so we can put the date. It's 9/3/14. And we can even write the title of this, which is Apply Order of Operations. You can see that on the top of page 8. So this is what your notebook should look like as we open it up and so on, all right? Order of operations refers to when you have a problem, when you have a mathematical statement, you have to do it in a certain order to get it done correctly. Let's just look at a very, very simple example of that. And I will let you use your calculator on these, but I want you to look at this first one. And by the way, when you are watching the video and you're listening, put your pencil down. I don't want you writing right now. Because what I'm learning is as people are writing, they're not listening to what's being said on the video. So when we watch this video, we will pause it when I want you to write. Okay? So let's do this first. And I don't want you to use your calculator on this, but just think about this for a minute. I'm not going to make up something super hard. But let's say we had something basic like 10. I got to just think about it first, make sure I have something that I want here. I think that would, let me see if that's what I want. Yeah, that would be a good example. 10 minus 7 plus 2. And I want you to think about this for a minute. Does the order matter? Well, let's do it in a couple different ways. Okay? First of all, I'm just going to work it out from left to right. And 10 minus 7 would be 3, so I'm going to write this down again. These two give me 3, plus I have a 2, and if I work it out that way, I get 5. Okay, now let me write the same thing down again, and let me do it in a different order. Suppose I do these two first. 7 plus 2, that's 9. I now have 10 minus 9, and that's 1. Am I getting the same answer? And I think you're looking and saying, well, no, you don't. So the order matters. This order here was not correct, and that's not the correct answer because when you're working with order of operation, you should always do any adding and subtracting. You just go in order from left to right. So this would be the proper way to do it. Okay? Now, the reason I just brought that up, and we're going to talk about our calculators, even though you have your calculator will typically do things in the right order for you, but there are some circumstances that you have to be aware of when using your calculator or you will not get the answer correct. Okay? Here would be one example. And again, put your calculator aside just for a second. I want you to think about this first, and then we're going to type it in our calculator. So I'm going to have 8 plus 4 over 3 plus 3. Okay? Now, when you see a fraction bar, it works like parentheses. What I mean by that, it's kind of like you have parentheses up here and here, which means you ought to do everything in the numerator first. We remember that numerator is the top of a fraction, and then we do everything in the denominator second, that's the bottom, and then we should divide at the end. So if I do that, we can do this in our head. 8 plus 4, that's 12, and 3 plus 3 is 6, and 12 divided by 6 is 2, and that's the correct answer. Okay? Now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and take 8 plus 4 divided by 3 plus 3, put it in your calculator and see what you get, and you can pause the video right now. Okay. You probably put that in your calculator, and if I'm doing this in my head right, and I don't have a calculator in front of me, you're probably getting some screwball answer like 12.3 repeating, something like that. If you're getting 12.3 repeating, here's the problem. Your calculator worked the problem out in this way. You probably typed it in just like this. You probably put 8 plus 4, hit the divided by key, which shows that on your screen, 3 plus 3. Well, your calculator didn't realize that you wanted to add 8 and 4 first and then divide by the combined sum of 3 and 3. So your calculator did things in the proper order. In proper order of operations, you might remember, the calculator would divide before it would add. But if you do that, you're going to screw the problem up here because you want to add before you divide. So in this case, when you see problems like this, you have to put parentheses around the numerator and denominator as you type it in. So try typing it in again, but this time type it in like this. Do open parenthesis 8 plus 4, close parenthesis, then hit the divide key, open parenthesis 3 plus 3, close parenthesis. Okay? You should be getting the correct answer now. Go ahead and I'm going to pause the video and try that. All right, so hopefully that's working out better for you. Here's another scenario we have to be aware of. Let me actually get a new sheet of paper here. Another case we have to be aware of is with exponents, and this is a big one we have to be very careful with. If you take something basic like negative 2 squared, okay? Now, if we don't use our calculator, just think about it for a minute. Negative 2 squared, remember, second power means take this base, negative 2, and multiply it together 2 different times. Okay? Second power means we got 2 factors of that number. Maybe, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change this just so it's not confusing. Let's just use negative 3. That way we're not getting the 2's confused. So, okay, so second power means take negative 3 and multiply it together twice. Negative 3 times itself. 2 factors. Can you see 2 factors of negative 3? Okay? Now, a negative times a negative is a positive. So I know my answer is positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. The correct answer is positive 9. Okay, now go ahead and type it in your calculator. Go ahead and type in negative 3 to the second power. I'm going to pause the video as you do that. All right, you're probably getting negative 9, and you're finding out, wait a minute, something's screwed up. I'm supposed to be getting positive 9. I'm getting the wrong answer. Well, the reason is an exponent only applies to what's directly in front of it unless you use parentheses. So what I'm trying to show you here is if you take a negative number to a power, you have to put parentheses around that number as you type it in your calculator. So you need to type in open parenthesis, negative 3, close parenthesis, second power, and now you're going to get 9 for a result. So what's going to happen today in your practice, we're basically going to be practicing getting these statements into our calculator properly. That's what's going on today, all right? Because even though the calculator is a great tool, if you're not typing the stuff in your calculator and getting it all wrong, you know, we're not where we need to be, okay? So that's the key thing here. We need to make sure we can take an expression, put it in our calculator, and have that produced correctly. Because there's nothing more frustrating than doing things correctly, and yet we're typing in the calculator wrong, and now we're getting answers wrong, and we don't know why. All right? So I'm going to pause the video here. I don't think this video is too long, about 10 minutes, and you're going to get a worksheet, and we're going to go through and make sure we can get these things put into our calculator correctly.